Hi everyone, my name is Karina and this is the first episode of my knitting podcast. I never thought that I would do anything like this, but I also wanted to share what I'm working on and talk more about... My daughter's crying. Yes, it is snowing outside. Snowing in March. Hi everyone, my name is Karina Reichl and I'm the knitwear designer from WilderNest Knits. And yeah, this is the first episode of my knitting podcast. I am really excited but also really afraid of doing this because I am an absolute introvert and English is not my native language, but hopefully my accent isn't too bad, but you can always use captions on YouTube. Feel free to turn those on. So what I wanted to show you today is some sneak peeks into my newest designs. Here is one behind me. This design is called the FairBloom Cardigan, and for a long time I was designing this as a winter sweater, but then I kind of had like a eureka moment and I was like, why am I trying to make this into a winter sweater when it's essentially a spring design? It has like flowers and birds and like little 4-leaf clovers. So I decided after making the sleeves like twice to do short sleeves. And since it was there was a lot of positive ease in this cardigan, I wanted to create this little, like these little balloon sleeves. And I think it looks just, I don't know, so good. I just really love it now. Before that, I wasn't that excited about this design. And after I redid the sleeves, I just think it looks so cute and I just can't wait to finish it. But since I have a 1-year-old, I don't have that much time to knit, actually. And I also have a full-time job, I should say that too. So yeah, I usually design or knit in the 2 hours that I have in the evening, usually when my little one goes to sleep, but that's okay. I could not be happier that I have a little daughter. So yeah, and honestly, the less time you have, the more you appreciate it, I feel. And then you also become a lot more organized. So whenever there's like a few minutes that I have to myself, I'm always like, quick, let's do this, or, do that. So yeah, it really taught me to be more efficient with my time. So back to the design. I also decided that I want to make it a bit more cropped. So what I'm doing right now is I am frogging all the way up here. So I've been kind of working on that. And then I'm gonna add some decreases here and do kind of a similar ribbing in that nice, it's like a dark plum color. I really don't know how to call it because it's just maybe aubergine. Is that what you call it? Yeah, maybe. But I don't have a lot of it left. So I am hoping that I can do that and then also do a nice button band in the middle, because this is going to be steeked, which I am afraid to steek this. I only did I think 2 steeks in my life and they turned out okay, but I don't know, cutting into my knitting just feels wrong. I know a lot of knitters feel the same way, but I guess it's just the price for making a Fair Isle sweater in the round, because yeah, I wouldn't want to work this in rows. A lot of these rows have 3 colors in one row, so it's a bit more like an intermediate difficulty sweater. It's not for beginners, but I also don't think it's like too difficult if you've done this before. But I would say working with three strands of wool can be a bit challenging because they can get entangled quite a bit. But yeah, I just really wanted those colors in there, so it's the price for the design, right? So yeah, I'm gonna be frogging this now, and as I'm frogging my sweater, I can talk about other things as well. So yeah, maybe a little bit about myself first. So yeah, like I said, my name is Katerina Rajko. I am actually from the Czech Republic, so my first name is actually pronounced Kateřina in my native language, Czech. But since I've been living in the US for the past 6 years, I've kind of I've gone by Kat. People call me Kat, which, by the way, gets I know you would think it's a simple name, but people like butcher it all the time. Like whenever I order coffee, I've been renamed to Ken or Tess. Yeah, I always get surprised at like the different ways that people hear me say my name when I think that I'm pronouncing it really well. So that will yeah, that will surprise me sometimes, but it's funny. It's funny, and I get it because it's hard to hear correctly, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, my inspiration comes mostly from a wild nature. That's why I've called my guess you could call it like a knitting brand, WilderNest Knits. Do you regret that name now? Because there are these books that are called WilderNest Knits out there. So whenever you Google my name, which is WilderNest Knits, nest as in bird's nest, those books keep coming up, and Google always autocorrects my brand name, which is, I mean, it's annoying. So I am thinking about rebranding. I just don't like to do it because then I have to like change all my logos and all the images that I created over the years, and I have a website, so it's just gonna take a while. But I should probably do it just because people keep confusing my name with other brands, which is not the best when you're trying to make it as a knitting designer. Yeah, so that's just, yeah, it's not like a big issue, but it does bother me sometimes. And then yeah, so my inspiration comes from the mountains and the wild nature. I live in upstate New York, so we have I'm close to the border of Vermont. There's a lot of mountains around here. So on the Vermont side, there are the Green Mountains, which are beautiful, and then a little bit more north, like an hour north from us, there are the Adirondacks, which I love. If you've ever been to the Lake George area, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's just beautiful there. It reminds me a little bit of the Alps in Europe. I've never actually been to the Alps in Europe, which is just a little embarrassing because I lived about an hour or 2 hours away from the Alps all my life. So yeah, it's on my bucket list. And actually this summer I might go, so I'm quite excited about that. And yeah, so what was I talking about? Well, my inspiration. Did I tell you I get lost in my own head? Oh, and apparently I'm losing the yarn balls too. There it is. Yeah, so yeah, usually my patterns are inspired by the different nature elements that I see, and also all the different water structures. I don't know if I can call it that way. I guess waterscapes. You have a landscape and then you can have like a waterscape. That's how I see it. So I am really fascinated by all the different forms of water, like ice and waterfalls and lakes and the sea in particular. I love the sea. I love to go to the sea, and yeah, the colors of the sea are probably my favorite. So you will see a lot of the blue or green blue in my designs. And yeah, in the US in particular, I love to go to Maine. That's my favorite destination. Everybody who knows me knows that. Gosh, I go to Maine like several times per year. So I went to get my coffee. I'm back. So I have a bit of an exciting news to share as well. If you've been following me on Instagram, you will. I don't think you will know yet because I didn't share this anywhere else. So look at this. If you can see it. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, so this yarn, believe it or not, is my yarn. I had this spun at a local fiber mill in Greenwich, New York, and it is a mix of wool and alpaca. It has been chosen specifically to be very soft, so that babies can wear it as well. Because what I want to do is I want to create yarn that's 100% local. So this is not washed yet, but after it is washed, it will bloom substantially, and then it will be even nicer and softer. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I got this sample, but there's a lot more coming. And I'm going to be selling this yarn. So I'm really excited about that because I really want to offer a locally sourced, locally spun yarn that's soft enough for baby sweaters and baby clothes. So yeah. And there's going to be more news about this probably in my next podcast. So yeah, subscribe if you want to know more. So I've been researching baby yarns quite a bit. If you go to my website, there is an article about the best yarns for baby knitting, which I researched this when I had my baby and I wanted to make her a sweater, and I just really wanted to know what I can use that's safe and that's not gonna scratch her, and yeah, that's just less likely to cause any kind of irritation to her skin. So I would say from my research, the most common yarn that's being recommended is either cotton or merino, which are good options, but I don't always like those options because cotton does wear out quite a bit and it is not warm. Not as warm as wool by any means. I think it's a good alternative for people who don't like wool at all, but it's still natural, right? So it's better than acrylic, which, I get it, it's cost effective, but at the same time it can shed microplastics and it's just not environmentally friendly as natural fibers are. And so I personally prefer wool or alpaca or cashmere. But cashmere can be quite expensive unless it's in kind of a blended yarn, and then it can be a bit more affordable. But so there are these different options. So cotton, wool, alpaca, cashmere, and acrylic. But whenever you look up what wool to use for babies, the answer usually will be merino, which is probably, arguably, the most popular wool type in the world, I would say. But I don't always love merino, first of all, because it's usually from a different continent, New Zealand. And also because it's so soft that it doesn't have some of the other features of wool that I love. Like it pills more, I would say. And the way it's produced, it's usually, it doesn't have as much character or like rustic quality to it, I guess I would call it. It's just more like an aesthetic thing, but I also don't think that, but it's not just aesthetic, because it also kind of tells you about the features that the wool has, or characteristics of the wool, like the way it like stays in place, the way it holds the structure of the garment, and also how warm it is, and how it's going to behave in different types of weather conditions. So I feel like that's still important. So I had washed my custom yarn and now it's drying, and it had bloomed quite a bit, and it has become really soft to the touch, and it looks beautiful. I can't wait to knit with it. I also wound one of the yarn skeins on my handmade nostepine. I think that's how it's pronounced. I had made this years ago using a stick that I found in a river, and it has these, I don't know if you can see it, bite marks from beavers, so I call it my beaver stick. By the way, the sweater that I'm wearing is called Serenade Sweater, and it's made with Isaiah. It's alpaca, so it has a lot of drape to it, which is nice, and it's very warm. Alpaca is a very warm fiber. It's also really soft and cozy, and I've been wearing this sweater a lot over the years, so I have to say it still looks really good. Like it has, what's the phrase? Withstand the test of time. Yeah. So yeah, and it's like really long. I'm gonna show you how long it is. So it's more like a tunic, really. I love wearing leggings, so I love the length. It's just, yeah, it's really nice. You can find this pattern on my website and on Ravelry, and also on Etsy. Another design that I wanted to show you today is my new design, which is called the Deep Sea Sweater. And I had made it in 2 different versions. So this is the second version, which is more fitted, and it features a turtleneck. So like a nice kind of cowl, more loose kind of turtleneck. And it has these nice long balloon sleeves. And they're made in brioche stitch. And there's this nice like lace at the front of it, which reminds me of waves and like the play of light and darkness in the deep sea waters. So that's where my inspiration came from. That's why it's called the Deep Sea Sweater. And the brioche is repeated at the ribbing at the bottom, and also, yeah, on the turtleneck as well. So, and I want to add different options in the pattern so that you can make a fitted version and then also an oversized version with a wider cowl. I hope that's how you pronounce it, cowl. Yeah. And I'll show you the other version that I have, which, by the way, this one has stockinette stitch at the back. So the lace is only at the front. And then at the back, you just do a lot of stockinette. I hope you don't see this phasing here too much. So I made the beginner's mistake of not buying enough yarn. If you can believe it, after so many years of knitting. But yeah. So when I purchased additional yarn, it was a different dye lot. So, and it's actually visible, which is not great. Especially since this is a sample that I'm not going to take apart again. Because I already knitted this sweater twice and I don't want to knit it for the third time. But it's not that visible, I think. So I am fine. I'm fine wearing it. But like if you can notice it. There's like a more creamier white here and then kind of like a lighter color. Yeah. But I still love it though. So, and then the other version is with the wider neckline, like this. Yeah, I'm gonna try it on now. And my hair is probably gonna be flying everywhere, but that's okay. So. I had to step away because I was putting my daughter to sleep. I'm back now and it's a bit dark outside now. But that's okay. I wanted to show you the first sketch of the deep sea sweater design that I had. Because I always like to see the original designs or sketches for sweaters. So I just wanted to share that as well. This was the original sketch. It keeps focusing on the face. I don't know why. But yeah, as you can see, I think I came pretty close to it in the end. Which, good or bad. It's interesting because a lot of the times when I'm designing, the final product is quite different. So in this case, it came out to be pretty close to the original design. So yeah, that's interesting. I have a lot of other designs in this. It's like full of stuff. I'm just trying to see if maybe I can share anything else. Yeah, so I also have the original sketch for the design that's behind me. So the FairBloom Cardigan. So that's a Fair Isle cardigan or stranded colorwork. This is not a classic Fair Isle, but it looks like this now. It's in progress. And the original sketch does look a lot different. So when you look at it here, it has long sleeves and it has the colorwork at the bottom of the sleeves as well. And the colors are a little bit different. I used kind of like a darker blue navy color for the ribbing on the sketch. And yeah, I ended up using, sorry, camera keeps refocusing. I ended up using kind of a dark aubergine color, I guess, is what you would call it. Kind of a this like beautiful purple pink shade. The yarn that I'm using is Holstgarn. It's a Danish brand. I have a lot of it because I had a huge stash of that yarn back when I was living in Europe because it was very affordable and it was 100% wool, 100% natural, which I really liked. And back when I started knitting, a lot, I really wanted 100% wool. So, and I purchased a lot of it back then, and I still have that in my stash. So I did not order it from Europe. And I'll show you one of the yarn balls. So this is how the Holstgarn yarn balls look like. They may have redesigned their labels since then because I've had it for a while, but this is kind of what the yarn looks like. Yeah, this shade is so beautiful. I love it. It's called Sweet Pea. I bet they still have it. And the yarn is called Super Soft. So it's 100% wool. Comes in 50-gram cakes. I guess you could call it as a yarn cake. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very nice yarn. I still really like it. I wanted to talk about a little bit, and what I was thinking about quite a bit is that knitting designers often don't knit other knitting designers' patterns quite as much, I think. And I think it's because, well, we all value our time and we try to spend it on designing new knitting patterns, I think, whenever we can. So that's, I think, why a lot of designers don't knit other designers' sweaters. But I feel like it can be really interesting to knit somebody else's design because it can give you more inspiration, and it's really interesting to see how somebody else writes their pattern and what they think needs to be included or not. And you can also learn a lot of new techniques that you may not be aware of. And also, I think that's the biggest reason why I decided to go back to knitting other people's patterns is because sometimes I just want to relax and not think about the design as much because, when you choose a pattern, somebody else's pattern, you already know that you like it, and you can just follow the instructions and relax. Which honestly, sometimes after a day of working and taking care of my 1-year-old daughter, and other duties that, chores around the house and stuff, you just want to sit down and relax in the evening. So you just want to pick up your knitting and not have to think about it too much, and just enjoy the process a bit more. So actually, this project that I'm working on right now is by Fiber Tales. I believe the designer's name is Lurke. I hope I pronounced it well. And she has a podcast. Most of you probably know it because you like to watch knitting podcasts. But I can only recommend her knitting podcast. It's very relaxing. And that's where I saw this design, which is the Morel sweater, I believe. And let me show you how far I got so far. I started this in January this year. So it's a top-down sweater worked in with kind of a staggered construction. I don't really know how to call this. I think it's called staggered. It's not worked as like a yoke sweater with the different increases it's worked. You keep adding on stitches and then you join in the front. And then it's like a raglan type of increase on the shoulders. So it's an interesting construction to me. I've made a couple of sweaters with this construction before. I think Joji Locatelli's, one of her designs that I knitted had this kind of construction, but let me show you the details here. So it's really beautiful. And I used the original recommended yarn, which is 0 by the Fiber Company, I believe. So hopefully I got it right. And it has these nice details. Yeah, it's really nice and fluffy. You only use one strand of this yarn. So it's getting really dark in here, so I'm probably gonna stop filming right now. But yeah, if you got to this point, thank you very much for watching. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, all that good stuff. You can also comment below to let me know how you like it, or any kind of suggestions and comments you might have. But yeah, thank you, and I'll see you next time.